It's time once again for Talking Bible with the Brandons, the only podcast that proves a Tennessee fan and an Alabama fan can get along. Here's your host, Pastors Brandon Pugh and Brandon Carter.
Hey, it's Tuesday, and it's time for Talking Bible. Notice how all the T words I have incorporated in this sentence here. It's Tuesday, and it's time for Talking Bible with the Brandons here. A lot of alliteration there.
Yeah. You're so clever.
I didn't even write that out in advance. It just the kind of sharp intellect that the Lord has given
I think
me.
it's because you got rid of all that hair.
It has freed up some extra blood supply.
Brain cells are working better now.
I know many of you that may sadden you because, and we may lose a significant portion of our viewership. I'll just be honest because I know a lot of folks were tuning in to see where this thing was going. Yeah, what is this thing? What is this wild, head of hair going to be up to next week? So sorry guys. Whenever your wife's not down with the mullet, it's hard to keep it going. It's
Can I say something?
It's a single man's game in many ways. Yes.
I mean, you're making a big deal of this, but your hair wasn't wasn't really that long.
Well, it was longer than what it has been.
70s, late 60s, and 70s.
But I was on my way. The neck hair was starting to come in pretty full. I could put my fingers through it.
What's so sad about that is they make these things called electric razors and stuff. You can buy them and trim your own neck hair. Mm-hmm. Do you not trim your own neck hair?
Not if you're growing out a mullet.
Do you do it, though, in between other hair cuttings? Or do you just always let the barber do that?
Yeah, let the barber do it, man. In fact, that's probably one of my...
buy you some clippers and shave your neck hair.
Dude, I'm not doing that. I'm not
just
a professional.
Yeah, you don't have to be a professional. You just start there and go,
listen,
use
man,
the line.
You don't, whenever you're a semi-public figure, you don't roll the dice on what this head of hair looks like, all right? You want to make sure that I am looking as professional as what I really am. All right, so I'm not going to take the chances, maybe you would, where you're just going to take that electric razor and, because I don't know about you, but, contrary to popular belief, I don't have eyes in the back of my head.
I shave my own head even with mine.
And it clearly shows.
Well, there's not a whole lot of errors you can make with mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just set the guide on one and boom.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it fly. Well,
costs a lot less than what you're paying for your haircut.
That's not, well, maybe so, but, mine isn't breaking the bank either. Great clips don't, kill you or anything, so. But anywho.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's not going to kill you this week here. Let's talk about, I don't know how I'm going to segue with that phrase.
Yeah. I don't know what you're going to say next.
I don't know either. Yeah. Well, hey, let's just talk about our reading today.
How about that?
So we got into 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 1, just verse 1, which is funny to me. But let's just read it because we can. It won't take forever. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, and David grew stronger and stronger while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker. So just kind of gives us...
Well, it's interesting because it's David, Saul dies, and it's not like, oop, David's now the king.
That's right. Everyone fall in line here.
Saul was the king, and so what happens when a king dies? Well, it's the next son up, or the next cousin or nephew or whoever, and all of that has to kind of be sorted out, And there are people going to be loyal to that old king instead of David, even though David was standout guy and much better. You still have protocol that people want to observe, and it's just always normal for their family. So that family has to just kind of fade out. And I think that's why, you read in chapter 5 about, God says, I'm going to make you shepherd over my people. But it says at Hebron, David reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and at Jerusalem he reigned over all of Israel and Judah 33 years. So those first several years, it's just kind of David with the biggest tribe, his own tribe. and then finally all of Israel will embrace him, and he becomes the great king there. And then the next reading is Psalm 23. It's what goes with it, and it's just Psalm 23 is just David's meditation on God's faithfulness to him and how the Lord brought him to where he was, and was faithful to him and grew him greater and greater and stronger and was with him, which is kind of what, I think we pointed out. David couldn't get to where he was without God's hand in his life. And Psalm 23 is his way of saying, okay, let me write that into poetic form. Yeah. Let me say that with a little style and flourish that's going to be really meaningful for other people. And he does.
Yeah, indeed he does. What really stood out to me, just kind of along that same line of thinking, was right there in chapter 5, verse 10. And David became greater and greater, for the Lord, the God of hosts, was with him. Why did he become greater and greater?
Because God was with him.
God was with him. And it wasn't anything, intrinsic to who David was or anything that he had done, but it was simply because of that. And I think, rightfully so. And what Brandon was saying there, David puts this into poetical form here, and he ascribes, the glory and the honor to whom it belongs right here. Is there a particular reason why this psalm is really more popular or more well known than, I would say, any other?
I would say so, yeah. I think, man, it's just a psalm of comfort. It's just a song about God's blessed presence with his people. I think its popularity is much due to the fact that it's just used at funerals so much. So, and over the years, it's been such a comfort, and rightfully so. It's a comforting song, even though it's not really about
comfort,
death, or per se.
Well, yeah.
It just is a comforting word from the Lord, but it is given to his people. It's not given to just everybody. That's I think one of the keys that people sometimes miss. Anybody can kind of use this, but yeah, it's really a word to comfort God's people. Mm-hmm. And why not? I mean, it just talks about God's care, protection, provision, strength. It reminds David and the reader of God's victory in their life for them, that he's going to be with them, that they're going to dwell with him forever. So it's a wonderful, wonderful meditation from God's word.
Yeah.
So
is it so wonderful that you memorized it this week because that's what the memory verses are.
I have memorized it.
Psalm 23, 1 through 3, but I'm going to up the ante, and I'm going to say you give me the full 23rd Psalm right now.
All right.
So let's see.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
It's amazing to me how bad your memory has gotten, but yet the Lord in his kindness has allowed you to hold on to some scripture.
Dude, I have always had a bad short-term memory. When I was in college, my aunt and uncle, I had to live with them for a while, and they would call me the professor, as short for the absent-minded professor.
Oh man!
I've always been forgetful.
Man, I think you may be the retired professor these days, though, because it's getting worse and worse.
No, but so one thing I would say about this psalm is there are things that you should, when you read this, it's just good to remind yourself of. First of all, the God-centeredness of it. He does this. The Lord does this. He, yeah. You. It's just a sweet way to think about this God, and it's God that does this. And then just the refresh. It's just a picture of refreshment, to the soul, which is really what it's so about. God feeds you. It's just God. God's a good shepherd. He's going to take care of his people. He loves his people like the shepherd loves. And sheep are dumb, weak animals. They are like the dumbest animal in the animal kingdom, just about. Yeah. And so they need someone who is all things to them, and that's what the Lord is. And then one of the things I think that doesn't get a whole lot of thought is most people gravitate to the first 4 verses and even the last verse. But verse 5, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And I don't know that most people think about that, but it's really like, I think he's talking about victory over your enemies and the rest and being at peace. You're not threatened. You're not in danger right there. So I think maybe there's a word there for us about how God has fought our battles. He has won the victory in Christ for us.
He's for us. Who can be against us?
Yeah, we have victory over sin and death and hell, and
it's party time now.
Well, it's kind of like the banquet table there, maybe, that you see. Or at the very least, it's like I can sit down to a meal, even though I've got enemies all around them, because I know God is going to take care of me.
That's right. Can you eat whenever you're stressed out?
Well, some people eat too much when they're stressed out.
Maybe so. Personally, me speaking, like if I've got a lot of stress and anxiety, I just don't have an appetite.
Well, I think the picture is more like if you're sitting in a house and the enemies are attacking the house, you're not going to be sitting down to a meal to eat.
That's right.
And I think it's almost the picture there is God's got my back so much that I am at rest, even when I am assaulted by all the powers of hell. And it's not a word of like, well, you can just relax and you don't have to fight the good fight. No, you have to resist temptation. You have to work out your own salvation, But the point is,
this isn't like a paralyzing kind of.
That's right. God is with you. God is for you, and He's got you. So yeah, it's that kind of strength that He's for us. So
yeah. Absolutely. It's a classic. No doubt about that.
Notice you didn't do the memory verse.
Well, that's because you didn't ask, but I'm glad you did. So, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for Lord, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. How you like that, Mr. Spurgeon? How you like that? Hear, hear. Cheers to that. And what my daughter would say is, pinkies up, Daddy.
That's right. That's the only proper way to drink from a cup.
That is right. Well, all right, guys. We hope.
Hey, kid,
you got something?
Great little book to pick up for your kids, your little ones. Sammy and His Shepherd.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good little book on Psalm 23 for kids. It's just a sweet meditation on the goodness of the Lord for His people. And I'd encourage you to pick that up and read it with your little one.
Yep, that's right. Can they find that at the Bethel Book Club table?
I think they can. We may have one up there.
Yep.
I don't know.
So make sure you. I don't know if they can go here physically right now.
They can get there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll give us a call if you
there
want
you
to hear.
go.
All right, guys. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at 2 Samuel chapter 6 through 7. So we see some.
What are the most important chapters of the Bible? Yeah, it's important chapters.
Yeah, this one's wasn't so much fun for Uzzah here, but I enjoyed reading.
There's a lot going
here.
on in 6 and 7.
Yeah, you're not going to get bored on this one here. So, all right, guys, we love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Bible with the Brandons. Be sure to like our page on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search for Bethel Baptist RC. You can also get updates at our website at www.bethelnow.net. Thanks again for listening.